Welcome to the Blue Hour. I'm Eric. This is Charlie. Every week we get together and talk about trends in the emerging tech space. This week we're going to talk a little bit about meme tokens, or a specific meme token that is taking off in the news, along with apps that are building on top of OpenAI. Let's get straight into it. First one is PEPE. Are you? It's a token on Ethereum, Charlie. Have you heard anything about this? How has it been in your neck of the woods? Is everybody buying this thing up?
I don't know. I don't think I know anybody who's been buying it, although that could definitely be wrong. I, it's it's like everyone's talking about it, of course.
I
It,
know.
yeah, everyone's talking about it, and it's PEPE, and it's
PEPE.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's PEPE, right? Are there
Yeah.
two E's? Okay, no, um, because Pepe is like I don't really know the genesis of the meme, but
Yeah.
there's.
I
Do you
know.
know the genesis of it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's an artist, Matt Fury, who created this like comic character of a frog and some others. I don't know exactly what it was from, whether it was just a series or art that he was making, but the internet at some point latched onto it and just used the image of this frog to create memes, and they put it just all the time. So it's
For
got
a long
ties
time,
to,
for years. Yeah.
yeah, like pre a lot of the like social media we have now, like forums and stuff like that, people would post it. So it's like Pepe the Frog is the name of this meme, and it kind of has this really long history on the internet, and particularly in the crypto space, which is one of the reasons it's kind of taking off. I don't know who created the token necessarily, but on Ethereum, somebody's created this Pepe token, and it's all anybody's been able to talk about.
And as we're just,
Background on the token.
yeah,
It launched April 17th, so it's less. We're doing this on the 5th of May. It's less than 20 days old. The token is 400 has so the token supply of Pepe token is 420 trillion 690 billion tokens, which is a lot of tokens. um, so I went to their website, and this is at the bottom of it. It says Pepe is a meme coin with no intrinsic value or expectation of financial return. There's no formal team or roadmap. The coin is completely useless and for entertainment purposes only, which is a very important thing to know when you're investing in something, what it is. And this is a completely useless token for entertainment purposes only.
which is
Um,
great.
yeah. The account for it, so it has a Twitter account, already has 246,000 people following it.
Wow, that's a lot.
The price has gone up so much in 20 days that the market cap, which is the price of all tokens at the current valuation, is $1.5 billion.
Wow, that's a lot more than I guessed. Holy shit.
Yeah. And which means that if you had put in even 19 days ago $100, it would probably be worth, I don't know, $50,000, $60,000. Crazy.
Maybe more. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I
One of the
really
reasons it's huge in the news is that Binance, the largest centralized exchange, listed it. And I thought it was funny. There's some notices attached. So if you try to buy it on their platform, you have two things pop up. The first is to enter the trade, you must answer two questions correctly regarding how much money you would be willing to lose trading, which is the question is more or less than 50%. And you're supposed to answer more than 50%. The other is whose fault would it be if they lose all their funds? Who's would it be Binance's fault or would it be your fault? And then there's another note that comes up that says, please note, as the time of this writing, PayPay has no token utility or value support mechanism. Also, there are signs that certain insiders or team members were able to buy 7% of the total token supply minutes after the token generation event. So there's that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like it's like this is like the definition of a shit coin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a valueless thing that is now has an entire market cap of $1.5 billion.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are talking about it mainly because it has that headline factor where people are like, somebody bought $1,000 a week and a half ago, and now that $1,000 is worth $400,000 or whatever. Um, you see a
Right.
lot of a lot of tweets like that.
Yeah, I think that those numbers are more accurate because if you put in $100 the 20 like in early like the 20th of April, I mean you would not have $60,000. You'd have like $6 million. I think that I'm pretty sure. I pulled
Yeah.
up market cap just to confirm that it's really it's done. It went from one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 zeros in front of a five, so 0.70 is five, to now having one, two, three, four, five. So it's removed 2 zeros from the number, which is it's an exponential increase. Just today, it's up 100%. That's
Yeah,
today. And so if you
that's
put in
insane.
$100 yesterday, it'd be 200 today. And so I don't know. I'm not sure of the math, honestly, but it just is like, I know, I mean, it's come up on countless podcasts I've been listening to, just, or like even on newsletters, all the crypto newsletters I read daily or every other day. And yeah, it's everywhere. I think that, yeah, I mean, in terms of utility, obviously, as you said, and they say it has no utility at all, but there is utility in community. There's utility in humor, and there's utility, like, there. And so I guess that if there's anybody buying it, that means that the only thing that is necessary for a market to exist is for somebody to want to buy what you've got. And so I don't think that, yeah, I don't understand. To me, this is extremely parallel to Sheeb or what's the first one? Sheeb was
Dogecoin.
Doge. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
Doge gets pumped all the time. Elon pretends to like it. He made did he switch the logo back? We never spoke about that. He
Yeah,
must
he
have.
did. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure he did.
Yeah, I haven't noticed it. Um, so I'm sure, I bet he did. But yeah, so like, he made the logo of Twitter, the Doge dog. And so
Yeah.
like there were these meme coins that literally mean nothing and people make a lot of money on them. Most people lose money on them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
I
would
mean it
say,
exists.
yeah. It's so,
Yeah.
it's so weird. It's one of those things that makes people who want to get rich be like, "Oh my God, if I just found the right project, I could get rich in 2 weeks," which I hate that people see that. And then it feeds this need where people start looking for that or putting in money to things that they shouldn't. Like, this is a very irregular thing that happens. I mean, it's clearly happened a bunch. Like, it's happened with, 4 or 5 dumb tokens with no value or utility. And people will see it, young kids that think that they can get rich and never have to work again, which is a great thought. I mean, it really hit something in my brain where it's like, oh yeah, I'd be a genius if I did that. But it's so weird.
Have you bought any?
No, I didn't. I looked at it when it was a like 27 million market cap token, which would be,
Wow.
it would have, if I'd bought anything and held it to now, it would have gone up a lot. But I just don't like playing those games. I've tried to play those games before because it's kind of fun, but it's also just a money sink. And for me, I don't know.
It's
I mean,
stressful.
yeah, I wouldn't mind making all that money, but also the way these tokens work is, you buy it, and then the only way you make money is if some other fool buys into you, buys in, and you sell. So it's like, in a way, I mean, it's not taking money from people, but the only way you make money is by somebody else's money becoming your money, which is
Exactly.
wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think it's interesting. I mean, we share mutual friends from college who love to invest in the Doge. So I think somebody we know buys like $20 a month at Doge just because, and he never sells. And that to me makes no sense. Like if you have no interest in, why would you do it if you're not going to be like, sort of selling at, I don't know. I'm not sure. To me, it makes very little sense. Um,
Yeah.
but it's funny to watch. Everyone's talking about it. It's fascinating. I don't necessarily understand it, but it's
Yeah.
cool.
It is like a testament to the way crypto crypto connects with so many people over the internet that
Yeah.
you can hypothetically create a project this fast that gets that much traction. And clearly a lot of people are putting funds into it and they like it, but the immediacy and the freedom of blockchain allows people to do stupid shit if they want to do stupid shit.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the quickness, like, it would be great for some of these big things to happen to cool, good use case tokens or
Yes.
something with a good use case. That would be amazing. Like when people were donating to Ukraine last year, I think they did like an Ethereum address, and then you could see in a day people are sending millions of donations, which is a cool use case, like for crypto. It's fun
Yeah.
to see people band together, but yeah, it's generally stupid to put your money into something like this. And, you know, it's probably going to create a whole subset of people now who are looking for the next PayPay token,
Exactly.
which is
I feel
wild.
like this is really like, this is a very hot take. I don't mean to get ahead of ourselves, but it does. On a podcast I was listening to recently, there were some like really big hedge fund guys who were talking about how they, or one of them hypothesizes this is going to be the next Dogecoin in the next bull cycle. So like, and the website sort of presents it as such. The website says, like at the very, very top, it says, you know, the most memeable meme coin in existence. The dogs have had their day. It's time for Pepe to take reign. And it's like so fucking stupid. But it's the branding's good. It's completely worthless, obviously.
Yeah.
It has no value at all, other than the value that people attribute to it, which is non-zero right now. So
Yeah.
who knows how long that will last. Honestly, the more that we talk about it, the more that I feel like I should just put $10 in.
Yeah.
You know, what's the real upside on $10 at this point? You know, it seems like it's so inflated already.
Yeah.
Considering the fact that it's worth in like logically $0.
Yeah. Yeah. Logically, the value, this token will never have any use other than people buying into it, which makes me just be like, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I just don't think that this is smart money. You know, like it doesn't seem as that like maybe like some people who are like, you know, the longer you're in the space, the more you meet like Ethereum whales or people who have been in these different networks for a long time. And most of the networks come and go, but Ethereum seems to be tried and true, at least, you know, in the last however many years, almost 10 years. And let's call it like 6-7 years of like having people who have like been able to see a massive return on some relatively small investments to begin with. Even if it
Yeah.
was $2,000, you know, if Ethereum was trading at $14, you know, it now trades around 2 Gs, right? So like, you know,
Yeah.
even more. So that's a pretty large increase in that like token value. So some of those people can, you know, to them, the nominal cost, like what it is that their sunk cost is so low, they're so far in the green. It's very easy to go to Uniswap or a DEX on Ethereum and swap to Pepe. And for them, it's not, you know, it's like, it's funny money.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and that makes sense to me. You know, that's not who I am and how I got here, and so it's not something I like even really think about. But it's important to kind of keep in mind because it's like, how the fuck is all this money getting into this? And then you realize like, oh, there's a lot of money that people just sort of like, you know, who were really early into Ethereum or really early into any one of a number of different projects, and then we're able to now they have their sunk cost is so low, they're so high in the green that they feel as though they can just kind of throw it around because it's like funny money to them.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
when you remember that, and then it's to them, it's like they don't care if they're you know they put up 200K, they don't care about that money because they have, you know, however many millions left that, you know, they can put actual, you know, money into, and there's potential for that 200K to become 200 million. You know, they could potentially take that asymmetric risk when in reality, that's like a buy signal for retail, and retail in reality I don't think really understands the fact that that person's willing to lose 200K because their nominal cost to getting that 200K was probably, you know, 10 grand or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to keep in mind like a sober perspective of like it's extremely unlikely as a small little minnow you're going to be able to 100x your dollars. It does happen, and those are the ones who talk the most. But then you also, I follow this Twitter account. I forget what it's called. You showed it to me. It's a yellow logo. I forget what it's called, but they like coinfessions maybe, and they have coinfessions, and they have different sort of sob stories that, you know, some are good, some are, most of them are really negative and honestly sort of depressing. And there are all these people who, you know, were able to like 15x their money and never sold, and then they went all the way back down to the bottom, and then like they would have been able to afford to, you know, a lot of people live in places where that money would have made a massive, massive, massive difference to their livelihood and their family's livelihood, and they've watched it all evaporate because of their lack of conviction to sell. When in reality, you know, the market is ruthless; it doesn't care. And the market is impersonal. What it is. It's a bunch of traders like pirates. Who are unaccredited mostly in crypto. You know, there's some overlap with accredited investors, but obviously it's a massive minority. So there's a lot of degens, anonymous people you don't even know. You know their wallet addresses, but you don't know who they are. So they're pseudonymous, right? So it's interesting. I think it's certainly a headline everyone's talking about. I can't profess to understand it, other than the fact that if anybody wants it, a DEX is going to have it there because it's all open sourced, right? So it's kind of beautiful in one way, but also really confusing in another way. And it's honestly really I wish people would just talk about Bitcoin. You know, that's kind of like the point you were earlier. Yeah, exactly. It's like
I don't think I think the economy's not in a good enough spot where people should be trying to get rich. Like I just worry people are going to put a lot of money into this think because they see what it did in 20 days when, it's my opinion in 20 days, it's probably going to lose value. So,
Yeah.
not that I have a crystal ball. If I did, wouldn't be here. Actually, probably would be. Who knows?
I'm gonna take that as a massive compliment.
That's a massive compliment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude.
um,
But yeah, we'll keep eyes on it. We'll see. Maybe, maybe
and maybe a
next
10x.
week.
Who knows?
Yeah, maybe next week it'll be the number one. It'll be a currency used in some country. The
Yeah.
PEPE token. But yeah, also let's get into some AI stuff because it's
Yeah.
still very exciting.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to talk about apps that use OpenAI's technology to build other things. So OpenAI has open sourced their API, which basically means you can build apps. They give you a key which goes into their language models, the things that they've built, and it allows you to build things like ChatGPT, but they're your own app. You can make money on it. You pay for the text that's generated from it, but it's very small. It's like 0.0006 cents for every like 1,000 words or something. Very small. So it's very cool. It's something I've been playing around with. People are calling them OpenAI wrappers. So it's like you're wrapping an app around the OpenAI API.
Mm-hmm.
And some like use cases for it are things you might see, like copy.ai is something that was early to this, which is a platform you log into and it helps you generate text. So you'd say, I want to write an article. It'll kind of guide you through the process and then it'll generate a lot of the text for the article. It's cool. It's very awesome that people can have the freedom to go play around and build whatever they want. For like individuals like us or small teams, it allows people to build products or apps quickly that utilize the same tech that everybody's finding very cool. Like text completion from ChatGPT is kind of taken the world by storm and changed people's perspectives. And I think over the next year, we'll see so many people build really cool apps that allow them to, like small teams, to build very huge products and businesses that they wouldn't have even imagined they could have built a year ago. Um, do you use any AI softwares outside of ChatGPT?
I use Bing which is the search
Yeah.
engine for Microsoft within their Edge browser. So I have an Edge browser now for the first time, which we had discussed a couple weeks back. And then I also use Bard, but those are really similar products. Obviously, Bing is based on ChatGPT's technology, and so that's almost like redundant. Although it does
Yeah.
query the current web, which is really, really, really useful for some
Yeah.
things.
And that's a wrapper app too. I mean, it's using their
Yeah,
API. So that's
exactly.
basically what these are.
It's interesting though because they've really done a good job obfuscating the fact that it's ChatGPT. Because if you ask it and you really try to get into the weeds, it won't tell you that it's a ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But that has to just do with like proprietary, like seeming like it's its own. But I guess I don't really know. But I'm trying to think of any others that I use. I do have I use this note taking software that you and I are sharing called Craft. There is an ability for you to generate a certain amount of content, and that's a wrapper of ChatGPT. It's no additional. It's really
Yeah.
just using ChatGPT's technology to sort of like query some specific request that you have within Craft. And so I see that very often. I know that Notion has something similar.
Yeah.
ClickUp, which is like a task management tool that's oftentimes used, which is a unicorn SaaS product. They also have something new and they're charging an additional fee on top of it. I haven't used any of the plugins. I don't have access to those. So I know that like Kayak is one of them and OpenTable is another. Those are cool to me. I don't really, I'm very fortunate when I have traveled this year, it's been through work. And so they booked them for me. But I can imagine those being useful if I traveled a lot for work and I was booking my own travel. But no, I haven't. To be candid, I really haven't. You invited me to this thing,
Yeah.
Lex.ai or whatever it is, and I don't. I use that. It's interesting a little bit, but most of my note taking, to be candid, works and goes into Craft, so I don't use Lex all that often. But what are some of your favorites?
Yeah, I've played around with Copy AI before ChatGPT came out. Uh, I've found it to be all right, but not that great. Same, I use something called Write Sonic, which was cool. There was a project called TLDR. This you put in a link for an article and it generates a summary, which I really liked. And
Cool.
then the people who built that built Write Sonic, and so I liked that. They kind of had almost like before Bing came out, you could search the internet with you know OpenAI's API, which was cool.
That is
But
cool.
Yeah, I did. The reason I ask kind of is there's not a lot of projects that have really nailed integrating it yet, which is interesting because I think there's a lot of opportunity. And I wrote down a few things, just like apps that I think could be built are like very value additive that use this natural language processing, which is basically you just type or say things a certain way, and then it uses the in the back end this chat G or OpenAI's API and gives you something really valuable. So a few of them, just to spit them off, AI enhanced language translation, so giving you like more accurate translations with context, content curation based on your preferences and interests, social media management tools. People are working on those, but I don't think anybody's really nailed it. Personal finance management, I think could be really cool, where it could give you AI generated insights and recommendations. Virtual assistants and chatbots, we're seeing a lot of that now, but probably see a lot more of it where people are building customized versions of what you'd see in a chat GPT, but for other like personal assistant sort of deals. So it'd be like, can you schedule this for me? I need this done. And it'll kind of go through that flow with you. Mental health and wellness apps, giving you like personalized strategies and practices. I could see being huge.
Hmm.
Educational content based on how you learn and your progress. I know Khan Academy is like the biggest kind of education SaaS product out there, and they've been working on integrating this too. And I saw the founder recently said, like, AI is going to completely change and give access to so many people educational tools that they never have had in the past. So it could really weight the scales of like how people learn, especially younger kids and children, even going into college age, which is awesome. And then last two I got here, customer support and then news summarization for like quick and accurate understanding of what's going on. Um, yeah, all of those I haven't really seen people nail yet. And there's just like so much opportunity there. It's kind of astounding.
Yeah, I read an article last week about an organization called Harvey.ai, which is
Yeah, the
just raised,
law one.
yeah, they just raised 20 million to sell into law firms. So they're going to actually just sort of like replace paralegals and probably just paralegals really, which is a job that I had all through college and then had immediately after the Peace Corps for almost a year. So I'm not surprised at all that that job can be replaced.
Yeah.
Personally,
Yeah.
yeah,
You're sad
definitely.
to see him go. Like, what does a paralegal do?
I'm not at all sad to see them go. But ultimately, there are a lot of people who do this as a full time job for their entire careers, who just don't go to
Yeah.
law school. So it is going to like sort of disrupt that. I'm not sure what those people will end up doing, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. Pretty insensitive way for me to look at it, but I don't know.
Yeah, you
Um,
didn't have to bring dessert into it, man.
um, like a paralegal does a lot of things. For example, when I got back from the Peace Corps, I worked at a law firm that's an environmental sort of like worked on the plaintiff side. So if there's a massive gas leak, that organization that was negligent and or potentially was negligent and allowed for a gas leak to happen. There are individuals who are affected by that. Those are the plaintiffs. So we as an organization represented the plaintiffs, so those who are affected by these massive catastrophes. And I worked specifically on the largest natural gas leak in the United States, the Aliso Canyon gas leak, which was a natural gas leak, which made a lot of people really, really sick. And so we represented them. It was a lot of relationship management, data entry, really simple stuff. Most of it could have been automated. The tools that the organization, I think that the biggest blocker for an organization like that, it's like a 500-person team, probably total around the world. They see a lot of litigation in specific verticals, and then they do environmental sort of like as 20% of the business probably, and like 40% of the business is medical malpractice, and then they have a big sort of foundational type of law that they practice as well. But I think that a lot of that can be automated relatively simplistically. You don't need to have an understanding of natural gas or the environment really at all in order to query folks about what it is that they're experiencing, taking all that data specific. These are the sort of things that you could send somebody a phone or something, some sort of tool, and they'd be able to sort of input it and send it right back, and that would be automatically uploaded into some sort of, I don't really know. I think it could be automated relatively simplistically,
Yeah.
um, especially if it's natural language modeling, right? So if it's using large language models, and it allows for you to speak to it in a way that doesn't have to be tailored. So it doesn't have to. It can sound like you're just regularly speaking to somebody. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be so much more efficient.
Yeah.
Also, you could probably like make the law firm more efficient as well. I don't know. I think it's a probably going to be a large improvement in general, but that one stood out to me because I think that's already been on my radar. We've spoken about it in weeks past because my sister's studying law, my dad's an attorney, so he and I speak about it quite a bit about what this might mean for his industry.
Yeah, I think I mean, all these like middlemen jobs that have somebody doing something and working with people. I mean, you see it virtual assistant, uh, content curation, customer support, summarizing news, educating people, helping people with their finances, and translating language. Like those are all things that a lot are being done by people right now for in certain ways.
Yeah,
So like people to people stuff is going to be a lot easier and almost like on the table for people to build cool things. And I don't think everybody's going to get replaced, but probably depending on what the price of Harvey is, uh, it would be pretty easy if it's a good like product to have people pay $1,000 a month to have that.
yeah. I mean, my subsequent background was really focused on SaaS sales and business development from a SaaS perspective, both like in three different market segments. So small to medium businesses, mid market, and enterprise. For 2 years I did enterprise sales, selling 7-figure deals to very large organizations. And there are, when it comes to law firms, there's interesting classifications of them. There of course there are really small mom and pop shops. That's not who the addressable market is for this, from my perspective. Those are the type of people who still wear suspenders and go into, and they have a little signpost out front, almost like a family dentist type practice. And I think that there's a place for that, and it's a different sort of law in reality. And maybe in general, those sorts of roles get usurped long term by smart contracts. But there's also corporate law, and corporate law is something that organizations pay 8 figures for. These are some of the largest and most. These are very influential organizations that sort of operate in plain sight without really, they're like the white shoe law firms of the world are just so unbelievably massive. They have like, I was once in Cravath Swarthmore for a lunch, and they had, framed pieces of early writing from Abraham Lincoln and a lot of the founding fathers that were like, should be in a museum. It's just absolutely fascinating, the sort of like the reach of these people. And those organizations will pay an exorbitant amount of money to cut costs. My sister worked at that firm, and she was doing like 100-hour weeks, literally sleeping on the floor in the office and stuff like that. So if they can, I don't think that there's any sort of like, oh, we need to work these kids into the ground because we need to teach them a lesson, as much as it's like, we need to get this work done as quickly as possible. And I don't care how long it takes you to do it, but we need to get it done now. And if they can do that with these sorts of tools and replace those kids, those young, graduate students or people who are looking to bolster their application for law school, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't do that. Because I get the impression they're pretty ruthless in the way that they approach their, how do you say this, in their pursuit of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Nice, dude.
Huge market.
No more 100-hour work weeks, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think it's a great opportunity for anybody who is like interested in the space. Either build your own or find people building these like open AI wrapper apps, or people who are interested in building things that are all in these. There's going to be a lot of opportunity, almost like limitless right now. So
yeah,
cool.
There's so much more to talk about, but let's wrap it up.
yeah, we're at 30. I want to. Yeah, it's it's almost summer here, but it's about to get a little bit warmer because it's time for hot takes. I
was like, "Where's my man going with this?"
I know, I rambled. That wasn't my best bridge.
That was great.
Yeah, I'll kick it off. I got one.
All right, good.
I watched a documentary on HBO, The 100-Foot Wave, which is like about surfers. But there's a part in it this last week that I watched where one of the guys like gets up at 5 a.m. and he's like waking up all these other people to like get them to go surfing. And he's like a troublemaker, but like something about being up in the morning and doing stuff is something I've been doing a lot more the last 2 weeks, like getting up 2 hours, 3 hours earlier than I would and going and like working out or running or taking the dog on a walk or swimming. And like I like that having that period in the day when you first wake up to go like get into things and fool around a little bit. My hot take is it's a good idea to wake up earlier than normal and do some stuff, spice it up.
That's great. I haven't seen that movie. I've been surfing for 25 years, which is kind of crazy. Now that I'm 32, that means I've literally been surfing for 25 years, and that's called Dawn Patrol. It's really common. And when I was a kid, I was a little kid. We were like maybe 10. My uncle, who taught pretty much taught me how to surf, he like taught me to like leveled up my surfing after I'd like been to surf camp a couple times. He would come like we were in the little story house, like one story house we grew up in. On the corner there was my bed, and my brother and I had twin beds in the room. And he would come. There were two windows on either side, and he'd come in because he's a landscaper. He's like a landscape architect who's an arborist, and he's an electrician. So he works outside. He's up really early every day before dawn. And so he would, when the waves were good during the summertime or in the like shoulder seasons when we would be there, he would come and tap on the windows or like whisper, and like our beds were right there. And so he'd wake us up and we'd be like so pissed and we'd hate it. But ultimately, like we learned at a young age, like that is the best time of day to do anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's awesome. It's very much ingrained in surf culture. So that's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, I know that you've been waking up early. I didn't know that related to that movie though.
It did, and I watched it 2 days ago. It just made me think about it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I got hit by a car. Yeah, so I got hit by a car on my bicycle a couple weeks ago, or like 10 days ago, a little bit less, like 10 days ago. Got smoked, ejected right over the handlebars. My front fork got stuck in his front right wheel well, and I just got it just tossed. And he was in the shoulder of a road where he shouldn't have been, and I was also in the shoulder of the road where I shouldn't have been. I was just outside of the bicycle lane, and got hit pretty good. But the it's not really a hot take, but it's if you're gonna, I think you got to know how to fall. Like you got to know how to roll things. Because I was able to.
You got to learn how to fall.
Yeah, exactly. So I was able to land and roll, and I was relatively unscathed. Like my wrist is a little messed up, but it's certainly not broken. I broke some skin there. My pants were a little tattered, but nothing ripped. And yeah, I got some bruising on my shoulder and my right hip. But like I was able to roll going like 20 miles an hour, probably maybe a little bit more on a bicycle downhill. And when I collided with a car, and I think that you've known me to fall many times in many ways. You call it a classic Chuck mess around, I think. Like that. And it happens all the time. But, the more that it happens, the less likely I am to get injured because I'm getting so good at falling. So, yeah, put the time into learning how to fall. You can do anything you want.
The eternal optimist, man.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's a lesson in there.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I think next week we should talk about Amelia's that thread you had sent me, that post. I think that was really interesting, like the limitations of ChatGPT and prompt.
Yeah,
like that one. That I've been thinking a lot about recently. But
nice.
Yeah, it's been great.
A little sneak preview cliffhanger.
Yeah, exactly. Cool, man. Awesome. Well, shout out to Josiah Soren for the intro tunes. We appreciate it. And we snipped the intro this week because we were done with the dilly-dallying. And also, we apologize for the skipped week. It was a mistake. We were both busy. We were out of the country. We had stuff going on. We tried to make it happen.
But we didn't rule.
Yeah, we didn't want to compromise on the quality. So here we are, 1 week skipped. Our rule was to do 52 weeks in a row, and we're going to have to fail at that. But we're just going to.
We failed, but good thing about falling is we're learning how to get back up.
Yeah, in the summer especially. All right, cool, awesome. All right, sweet, well done, man. Let's chat next week.
Yeah, see you then.